to our virtual information session for online flexible and professional development courses here in ATU. My name is Jean Gilligan. I'm head of Learning Business Development in the Department of Online Flexible and Professional Development, and I'm going to be your host for this live talk. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to my panel today, and we're joined by Eamon Walsh, who's Head of Faculty Support, again in the Department of Online Flexible and Professional Development, which I might refer to as OFPD from going forward to make it a little easier. And Eamon's going to give us an overview of our course offerings in ATU across all of the different campuses and the benefits of upskilling through online, flexible, blended learning programs and what they can offer you. Next, then, we have Joanne Harmon, who's our Head of Online Learning Student Experience at ATU. And Joanne's going to discuss the supports that are available for our online learners within the university and how best to fit your studies into your work-life balance. And then lastly, and thank you for joining us, we have Chris Gannon, who's a graduate, one of our former students from the Bachelor of Engineering with an honours degree in Automation and Digital Manufacturing. And Chris is just going to talk to us about his experience with flexible learning within the university and about his programme and how it's maybe impacted on his career, that upskilling piece. So before we start, I do need to mention some housekeeping, if that's okay. So firstly, if anyone on the webinar has any questions about anything that we're discussing or has been discussed, you can select the Q&A function within the Teams webinar and you can ask your question there. So we'll hopefully have time for a few questions maybe at the end, but there are also people online and they're waiting there to answer any questions as they come in. The talk is also going to be recorded. It's going to be posted on the ATU YouTube channel, and that's going to be available for you to watch whenever suits yourself. But we're also going to post it out in our social media channels, and that's going to be available from tomorrow. So you'll see it there as well. So I suppose it's good to get kicked off, and we might start with you, Eamon, if that's okay. So I'd like to ask you to give us an overview of the courses that we have on offer in ATU, and I'm conscious we have a huge number of them, but what we have on offer and what's currently open for the September intake, the next academic intake. So I'll pass over to you, Em, because I know you have some slides on that.
Okay, great. So thanks very much, Jean, and it's lovely to be here with everyone this afternoon for this webinar. I'm sharing my screen now, and hopefully you can still hear me now. Okay.
Absolutely, yep.
Both of those are working, then maybe we'll kick it off. So thanks a million. Yeah, so thanks to everyone. Delighted to be talking about all our flexible online and professional development learning that we have on offer at Atlantic Technological University. I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs that we have. I'm not going to be able to go through them all, as you'll see in a second. But basically, we're offering, opportunities for you, the learner, to specialize within your discipline, to give yourself a competitive edge in your workplace, with your employer, and for your career, and also thinking about this for the entirety of your career, for your continuing professional and personal development as you go through life, for your lifelong learning. For anything that I'm going to cover today, you can find lots more information on our website at atu.ie, or I might ask you to visit atu.ie/flexible, which is really the landing page, if you like, for a lot of what I'm going to talk about today. So we have a lot of program offerings in this space, and growing number of program offerings, just over 400 there, 414, as you can see on the left-hand side there, with the majority of those open for starting in September. So this coming September, although we have a smaller number of programs which are available for what we call our January intake, or our January starts in January 2025. As you go across the slide here, you see that the programs are offered at a variety of our campuses along the west and northwest part of the country, through Galway Mayo to Sligo, St. Angela's, and on up to Donegal and our Letterkenny campus. And as you can see, in terms of that flexibility, if you like, the delivery modes are varied. More than half of the programs are delivered online, so that lends itself to a lot of flexibility. But you will have some courses that are blended where you may have to come to campus from time to time, and that's explained on the course pages. And then we have a smaller number of programs that are on campus or where you need to come to campus on a full-time or near full-time basis. So lots of on offer there, and certainly providing some flexibility. The other thing is we're very diversified in the range of courses that we offer. So not only are, as on the right hand side there, across a range of different disciplines from business through education and humanities, engineering and computing, science and health. And also these new modes or these new types of programs called micro credentials, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second. And then on the left-hand side there, you'll see that we cover a range of the levels on the National Framework of Qualifications. So your level 6 certificates to your level 7 ordinary degrees, your level 8 honours degrees, right on through to your level 9, which would be master's degrees. So there's a progression pathway, if you like, there for people, depending on what education you've completed already. I'll just talk a little bit on each of the disciplines. So in our business area, we have approximately 60 courses, again, through disciplines of business, enterprise and law, tourism and marketing, covering all the levels on the National Framework of Qualifications. And again, in terms of delivery modes, very much there for providing flexibility for students. So lots to see there in business. Not going to mention all of the study areas, but we cover, a lot of the business discipline in terms of management and finance, enterprise and law, and innovation, leadership, right through to tourism and marketing, and even hospitality management would be part of that organization of business. So lots on offer there that you can check out. If I was going to spotlight maybe one or two, or just mention one or two programs, the Master of Science and other related programs in sustainable tourism and event management. So a lot of focus right now on sustainability in that space, in terms of, people are like to go to events that are conscious of climate change and their use of plastics, etc., and trying to reduce that. And also thinking about sustainability of the tourism industry itself into the future. So that's, all of the things that you will touch on in those types of courses. Again, there you'll see a master's, you'll also see a postgraduate certificate. So in many cases for our master's programs, you can take a postgraduate certificate, which would be 30 credits or part of the master's. Master's might represent the full 90 credits. You'll also see higher diplomas, which might be 60 credits. So if as you progress through that master's, you can adopt to take the full master's degree, or come on and do the postgraduate certificate and come back at a later time to do the master's. So that's also possible. Also give a shout out there to the Human Resource Management and Employee Relations, a new program starting this year out of our Galway campus. So that's proving to be really popular, kind of bringing together that slight specialism, if you like, into human resource management in terms of managing employees and employee relations and industrial relations and all of that kind of good stuff to do with managing people and HR. And that certainly might suit people who already have a qualification at an undergraduate level in HR. So definitely check that one out if you're interested in that area. Just try to move on my slides now. Okay, to talk a little bit about education, design, and humanities. Again, range of courses on offering here, just under 60 courses. Again, across all of the NFQ levels and different delivery modes. And again, a whole range of courses here, from creative practice through home economics, counseling, social care. If this is your area of interest, again, check out our website. Might mention here the Master of Science and Postgraduate Certificate, again, in home economics, nutrition, and health promotion. So where 20 years ago, this might have been home economics on its own, now it's very different. It's, as we're all conscious of healthy eating and trying to live longer, and we are what we eat, kind of thing. This is very much a focus of this type of program, it's very much an interdisciplinary look at that whole area. So definitely a very progressive program there that's worth checking out. over onto engineering and computing. So yeah, lots of programs here. I would have said, we're very strong in the area of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and definitely meeting the upskilling and reskilling requirements of our learners and our industry partners. So we have lots here in the civil engineering and construction space, computing space, and electrical and mechanical engineering and automation and robotics and all those areas. Again, lots of offerings there. Not going to go through all of these, but a huge variety of programs here in this space. So if it's engineering and computing that you're interested in, we definitely have something to offer here. Just give a shout out to our Master of Science in Engineering Management from our Sligo campus and our postgraduate certificate in data science. Again, data analytics, analysis of information, or the wealth of information that people have is a big area. Again, science and health, probably our biggest faculty. A huge number of programs there, over 170, again, across a whole range of, environmental sciences, life sciences, exercise science, and nutrition, a little bit there in terms of sports and sports nutrition. Nursing and healthcare, again, covering all the levels, a lot at level 9 in this space, and again a variety of modes of delivery. Again, full list there. Not going to go through all of those, so please check out our website on these. Might give a special mention to 2 programs there in terms of our gerontology and gerontology nursing and gerontology practice. Again, these are new master's and postgraduate diploma programs in this space. And that's looking at that, we're all getting older and we're all living longer. So this is care of our older people, which is very much person-centered based and information-based, evidence-based interventions for older people, and this is hugely important and a growing area. So that delighted to see those courses come on stream. In terms of bioinformatics, so the wealth of information, data on health-related information, right from our smartwatches all the way through to our scans and all our blood work and all of those, that information, a huge amount of information, and how you analyze that information and present it to clinicians to be able to make informed decisions. That's what bioinformatics is all about, and it's fantastic to see that Master of Science and related programs there from our Donegal campus. So if that's an area of interest for you, please do check that out. Also, just a quick mention to the cognitive behavioral psychotherapy and digital innovation for sport. 2 more new programs coming out for this year. So delighted to see those. And just in terms of funding, I mean, I will mention that as I said, reskilling and upskilling opportunities for people in the workplace is very much at the core of what we do here at ATU. So we have a lot of programs that are available, over 50, I think. Jean, if I'm right, that are Springboard funded or funded through the Human Capital Initiative. And this is providing free courses for people who are unemployed, or 90% of the funding is paid for by the government for people in employment. And you can find information about those on our website, atu.ie/springboard. And you apply through springboardcourses.ie to check your eligibility for these courses. But again, a lot of offerings here in the STEM space, and these have been hugely successful for us, and we've been at it for a long time. A lot of the programs here, they're all flexible by absolutely. Many of these courses are online. I'll just give a mention to micro-credentials. This is the new kid on the block, if you like. So this idea of a bite-sized piece of learning, it's a smaller piece of learning. If master's degree would be a major award, this is very much a micro award. So if a master's degree might represent 90 credits, our micro-credentials would be 5, 10, or maybe 15 credits. And we have had a number of these that are funded now, again, by the Human Capital Initiative, which provides from 50 to 80% of funding for micro-credentials. And the nice thing about the micro-credentials is this is lifelong learning, but assigning credits to them that can be then banked, if you like, and you can come back and complete more micro-credentials or go on to do a major award, and you will already have a recognition, if you like, of the credits that you've completed. So we've over 40 programs there with some micro-credentials. If you'd like to find out more about what they're about and what we have on offer, please go to atu.ie/micro-credentials. Yeah, I think I'll just give a final page from me. Again, on our funding, you can look at the Springboard offerings that we have. We also have, work very closely with many of the skill nets across the country, and all organized through or managed through SkillNet Ireland. You can check out there. The DASB in terms of specifically on civil engineering. Again, our micro-credentials. And you can also check out our fees funding page to look at the various scholarships that we have on offer. And I think at that stage now, last thing I'll mention is how to apply. Visit the course web pages. You'll see an apply now button direct from there. Just watch out for the entry requirements. And also if there's an opportunity for recognition of prior learning. If you don't meet those entry requirements straight out of the bat in terms of your qualifications, don't worry. There's an opportunity to recognize your work experience and other courses that you've done. And I think at that stage, that's my thank you slide. So I think I'll stop talking now. So hopefully you found that useful.
Thank you, Eamon. That was excellent. I'm conscious that with 414 programs, it's difficult to convey everything that you want in a kind of a short space of time in a webinar and to get all that information across. But we do have the admissions email address that people can contact. And I know Sarah's going to post it at the end in the chat. But if there are, programs that you're not sure of whether we run them, if there are programs you'd like more information on, we'll be able to provide that because, we are conscious of time and having people on their lunchtime, there's only so much information we could get through. Springboard, I also just want to go back to open currently for applications, but programs are starting to close because with Springboard, we're funded for a defined number of places on each program. And as they fill, then we aren't in a position to offer more places. So if Springboard is something that you're interested in, they fund 1 year part-time programs. They tend to be, a lot of them are 30 credits. So if you think of as a full-time student, you would study 60 credits. That part-time program is 30 credits, but you can build on it. So you can do 30 credits this year and 30 credits and build towards a higher award if you want through Springboard. If you're unemployed, they're 100% funded. If you're in employment, they're 90% funded on programs from level 7 to level 9. Level 6 programs are free for everybody. So it's a really good initiative. But I would say if it's something you're considering applying for, apply now because those places won't be available forever. And Eamon has mentioned SkillNet, the HCI funding. There are so many different funding opportunities for people. And if you're unsure of any of them, email us and we'll provide more information for you on those. So just sorry now to interject and add to Eamon, but there's, I suppose, I'm conscious there's a lot of information and it's difficult to convey that, but we're happy to help afterwards in any way that we can. So thanks, Eamon. That was really great. I'm going to move on, Joanne, to you, if that's okay. I'm again conscious of time. And with regards to the student experience and students studying, online, can you chat to us about how best to balance that work and life for those flexible learners or online learners within the university?
I can, thanks, Jean, and good afternoon to everybody. Delighted to see so many people on today looking to find out more about our online and flexible offerings. I suppose, Jean, there's one thing I would always say to applicants and people who are looking maybe to take up higher education for the first time, or those people returning to education and higher education. And I think the key to balancing all of it really is planning ahead. And I think it might sound obvious, but I would say even at this stage, it's a really good sign. I think that people are in now looking to engage and looking to plan ahead in advance of September. So the first thing I'd say to anybody is, in terms of the beginning of getting that balance right, is start to research your courses now and, put in a good effort at this this point, go onto the programme pages, look at the time commitment involved, and check those out in detail. Look at the modules, look at the hours of study required, and look at the number of lecture hours during a week. So typically they'd be held between a Monday and a Thursday, and that might be 2 or 3 hours per week, depending on the course. It might be a little bit more. And look at that, and I suppose imagine yourself in that scenario of attending your live lectures and having the time for that. I would also say to people, if you found the course that you want, you've done the research, apply for the course as soon as you possibly can. I suppose, first of all, to say the places are limited, Jean, and you've said yourself, some of the funding is limited as well, either through Springboard or the Human Capital Initiative that Eamon has talked about. And if you get an offer for a course, I would suggest, again, accept your offer very, very promptly, because once you do that, then that whole preparation around pre-induction and assistance in transitioning into your course is unlocked. And that just helps you to get set up in terms of looking at things like study skills, looking at the time and commitment you have to involve yourself in, sort of an introduction to the virtual learning environment. All of these things will be made available to you and sent to you through a pre-induction, as we call it, once you've accepted your offer. So that's a really good way to get, I suppose, set up early and ready for your course, which will help you get that balance. I think other really important things include just that practical arrangements around, you know, if I'm doing online lectures at night, you know, am I set up for that? Have I somewhere that I can connect to my laptop and check out my lectures and listen to them, attend them? If I'm viewing recorded lectures, a lot of our online lectures are recorded. If you can't take them live, have I time at the weekend, for example? Am I going to set aside that time to kind of sit down and view them back? Do I know when my assignments are? Again, a really practical question. You'll get the answers to all of these once you're in induction, but a really good idea to know, when are my assignments due, so I can set aside that bit of time beforehand to maybe give extra time to completing them. Knowing when your exams are, or if you don't have exams, whether your course is assessed using continuous assessment. That might be 100% of your assessment. So again, knowing those assignment deadlines is really important, and that you don't have to attend for exam. I suppose the other part of planning ahead and learning how to get that balance right is participating in induction. So we have a whole week of fully online courses and resources available for our OFPD students the week before semester starts. So that will be the 9th to the 13th of September. And again, it gives people an opportunity to check out the virtual learning environment, whether it's Moodle or Blackboard, look at the kind of tools that we use in the online and blended learning environment, and be able to familiarise yourself with those. So I suppose, yeah, by way of summary, Jean, I think really it's that planning ahead is going to help you get that balance right, and just really looking at the time that's available to you and setting that aside for whether it's attending lectures, looking at recorded lectures, or planning and doing your assignments.
Excellent. So I suppose preparation is key, really, Joanne, and that pre-induction piece and induction, they're really useful resources to get people prepared for the course and their study. And I know I spoke to a student over 12 months ago now, and he had completed that, and he had been out of education for a very long time, but he said it gave him the awareness of where the supports were that he needed, if he needed them. So where he would get math support or additional assistance, that he got all of that information, which set him up from the start. He wasn't afraid or worried. He knew that those supports were available to him and where to go. So I suppose on that, Joanne, can you chat to us a little bit more about supports and what is available for the ATU online flexible and professional development students?
Yeah, I suppose, Jean, that's exactly it. We're really conscious that a lot of our OFPD students aren't students who come to campus, so they may never set foot on campus. So all of the supports available to them are available online, and we do provide a full range of support. So whether it's pre-induction or induction, as we've mentioned, we also have a range of support supports for students around academic writing, for example. It may be something you're not used to, it may be something you've never done before. So that support is available online, and there's tutorials and appointments that can be made with experts around that. Our maths support centre is there for students. Maths may be an important element, particularly in some of our engineering courses. You know, if you're rusty, if it's something that you haven't done in a while, that's something that you can avail of. Again, one-to-one appointments online with maths tutors. We have a very good IT help desk to help people with some of the systems that they may have to interact with. We have very good library support services. And then there's a range of other services, Jean, I suppose, for people who might need additional learning support. And again, we would strongly encourage students, as part of induction, you'll see all of those supports available to you, but maybe to register with those services if you need a little bit more help in terms of engaging online.
Excellent. And I'm conscious as well of our online student advisors, who I know, complete fantastic work with students and are really beneficial and helpful. But can you chat to us about the kind of supports that they can offer to somebody who wouldn't be familiar with an online student advisor?
Yeah. So I suppose it's something fairly unique that we have in Atlantic Technological University, and that is the provision of an online student advisor to students on online courses. We've extended that service out this year across all of our online courses, and it means that every student on a fully online program is assigned an online student advisor to help them with all aspects of whether it's applying for the course, registering for the course, and then supporting them right throughout doing that course on the non-academic side. So that could be assistance with accessing services, payment of fees, deferring modules, all of the kind of things that students will need in the lifetime of the student cycle. And as I said, the online student advisor is assigned to a particular program, so they'll be experts in all aspects of that program and be able to advise the student right throughout the life cycle of their studentship or their learning program. And one thing I always think of, Jean, is our graduation days on major awards. It's always a lovely day when you see students reunited, if you like, with their online student advisors, and they could be somebody that's helped them right throughout the process from application until, you know, the last day of their exams. So that's always a great day for us, and something that really helps people to sustain the road as well, because it can be challenging when you are an online student to keep at it when you're not on campus, but there's always somebody there that will help you through.
Yeah, and I suppose we should say that the online student advisors are specific to programs. So if you're on a program, you will have the same online student advisor from September right through to May. It's not that there's a group of online student advisors and they answer queries. You will have the same point of contact from start to finish. And you can contact them at any stage and they'll be happy to help you. So, they're not changing or moving. You'll have the one point of contact all of the time, which is really helpful and really beneficial as a support for people.
Yeah, it is, Jean, and I think it also just helps people, rather than maybe engaging with numerous functions within the university, they can go to the online student advisor, who will very often find out the answer for them or advocate on their behalf.
Yeah, that's great. We've mentioned induction, but could you chat us through kind of an overview of the process for it and what people can expect as part of induction here in the university?
Okay, well, I suppose, again, as I mentioned earlier, the fully online induction takes place from the 19th to the 13th of September, which is the week before our semester one beginning. I would say it's very important for students to be registered and in the system, let's say, in time for induction, because if you go through induction, it's really, really going to help you get that good start and strike that balance, as we said early on. I think one of the most valuable parts of induction, even though it's online, is that you get to meet your course coordinator and your peers and classmates online. So they're course introduction meetings, which are really valuable. You'll get your timetable in induction. So that's going to set you up to know when exactly all of your lectures are, whether there's any requirement to come on campus, or whether you're on campus, just your timetable, which is really useful again for helping you plan ahead. You'll get to meet your online student advisor online during that week. And we also provide live Q&A platforms throughout that week, so that if you have any queries that you can get in touch. There's a range of resources also, Jean, within that induction that we keep live for really a number of weeks after that week. And we engage in something called the first 5 weeks also with students, again providing fully online short courses and resources and webinars for students to engage on the full range of services we have, and just helping them to really get kind of set up properly, settled in, and answer any queries they have.
That's great. Thanks so much, Joanne. Really appreciate that. And lastly, but most definitely not least, we have Chris, who, as I mentioned earlier, is a graduate from a Bachelor of Engineering Honours degree program with us. And we're delighted you can come, Chris, because I think it's good for people to see people who've been through the process and to see how achievable and attainable it is to study online and to get honours degrees within the university, studying part-time. So thank you so much, Chris. We really
You're welcome.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem.
Can I ask you to tell us a little bit about what you studied at ATU and
Sure.
how it's been beneficial for you career-wise?
Okay, so just a small background for myself. I work in Boston Scientific in Galway, and I work as in large automation projects, quite complex. But as part of that, we quickly learned that we needed to upskill ourselves to be able to interact and understand these systems on a much greater scale than what we currently were able to do. So as part of that, then 3 years ago, I started into the automation and robotics program. And from there, then that led on to the automation and digital manufacturing program, which is where I currently am now and graduating from that. So because of that, it allowed me to take on the next position in the company, which was to become an equipment engineer. So I then assumed just more responsibility and a greater understanding. So when these systems do break down, it just gives me the understanding, then I can interact with that software and the robotics controls and really understand, because a lot of these systems are handling medical devices and you really have to have a good grasp on what you're doing at all times. And that's where it started for me anyway.
That's great. So it's been, really beneficial for you with regards to career progression,
Yes,
which is
yes, it did
great
indeed.
to see.
Yes, yes.
Can you tell us as well maybe about your time studying and how you found it to study part-time and working as well? Because I'm sure people are wondering
Yeah,
about that, about we mentioned work-life balance already, but
yeah.
about how you balance your time and the preparation that Joanne talked and how it was for you really.
Okay. That's a good question, because for me, the course that I was doing required me to be on site at least 1 day a week, and that was fine. So that meant then I had to reschedule my hours kind of to allow that to happen either on a Thursday or Friday. So, and then I also had the online classes as well during the week. And from that, then because I always had to kind of maintain on average kind of 39 hours a week, but the hours didn't always need to be consecutive. So my employer allowed me a great deal of flexibility to kind of get around that. And my shift was varying quite a bit as well, because when I was attending the online classes, I was nearly always on site as well at the same time. So there was a good understanding there that my employer allowed me to attend that and then go back to work and then just carry on with my daily activities, and then making sure then I had enough time then at the weekend and stuff then to kind of complete the assignments as and when they were due. So that's kind of how I managed it. It was a fixed schedule in terms of time for classes and site attendance, and after that then was kind of, there's a bit of a balance in between working and work-life schedule and that kind of stuff. But again, because the duration of study was quite short in a sense for a few years, I nearly always prioritize my kind of work or my ATU kind of work a little bit more than kind of my personal and work, and that was just to ensure that I could get what I wanted from the course in a short period of time and not really lose out on that.
Yeah, that was great, and it was great that your company were so understanding and helpful. But I suppose they saw the benefit for
Yes.
them as
Yep.
well
Yep.
in you
Yep.
upskilling and
Yep.
taking this course. And Joanne, I know mentioned earlier about the lectures being recorded, and so live
Yep.
lectures are recorded so people can access them at any time, because we are conscious people work shift work and work different hours, and
Yeah.
and have family commitments. It may not be possible for them to attend live lectures, so they are recorded and they're downloadable. So if someone is
Yeah.
commuting to work on a train or on a bus or wherever they
Exactly.
are located, they can listen to them as part of that process. And what we find too is people maybe who are out of education for a while is find it really beneficial to have that recording, because it's not a
Yeah.
one-off listen. You can
Yeah.
listen to it as many
Exactly.
times. So that's great. Chris, can you tell us maybe or maybe give us some advice for someone who might be considering studying, a part-time program, whether it be online or flexible within
Yeah.
the ATU? Can you give some, advice for them on what you think they should prioritize? I know you've mentioned
Yeah.
maybe prioritizing your studying, but
Yeah.
something that might be helpful for them if they're kind of sitting on the fence and not sure whether they should or
Yeah.
shouldn't take a course.
So for myself, it was a number of years. So if I can think back, it was 1994 was the last time I attended school, and been in college and stuff. So what I found very useful in general was that there was short-term bridging courses that the ATU provide you with straight away. So that helps you enable you get over the whole cycle of being able to engage with mathematics again and those kind of subjects that would be ordinarily not so easily without a lot of tuition to kind of get you over that learning curve, but to get you on a path where that at least you can execute on that to a degree level. After that, then it became about really scheduling my hours to suit. Well, first of all, being on site and making sure then I always wanted to be on for the online live classes, and I found that very useful because the content that I was learning was very new to me. There was always a great deal of that content that I didn't always understand from the get-go. So by being online, then at least I was able to ask that question straight away. And I was always, I mean, I probably drove all my lectures mad because I was always getting them to explain stuff in a different way that for guys like me that could understand it. But in fairness to them, they always did. So anytime I wasn't able to attend the online, I found it a disadvantage because I was always subject matter that I wanted to question. So therefore, if I couldn't get that question in straight away, then that means that I had to go and look for it online. So that was costing me more time. So I always made sure that I was always online. So just to save myself time and to get the information that I needed. And just remember, because if you're out of class or out of school for quite some time, it's okay to put up your hand and say, well, I don't really understand this, and can you explain to me in a different way? And it's never an issue. It never is. I also found as well being on site a huge advantage because you're always working in the labs, you're always interacting with equipment, and that equipment was replicated that they use in industry as well, which I think is very important. So I was always able to hit the ground running from those modules when I went back into industry, back into work again. So that helped enormously. And that's kind of how I managed it, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just to get through the workload that every course offers them. And the other key one is I always made sure that my submissions were well in advance of the exams because I didn't want to be writing up my submissions and trying to study at the same time. So I usually got that out of the way at least 3 to 4 weeks before any exam. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable advice for
Yeah,
people, yeah, to kind of compartmentalize things and get something complete and moved on to the next thing.
yeah,
And you mentioned those live classes and being able to ask a question. I think that's
yeah,
important for people to be
it
aware
is.
as
Yeah,
well, that
yeah,
for it could be an online class, but you're not sitting in isolation in a room at home. You have the
yeah,
the capacity to ask a question. You can type into the chat box, you can press a button to put your hand up. Lecturers often carry out polls and different things which are interactive and get people involved in the classes as well. So, and there's group work and there's breakout rooms and you're put into groups. So, just for somebody who thinks, it's just listening literally to recording, it's a lot more interactive than that and more beneficial to people than that. So, thank you, Chris. I really
no problem. You're very welcome.
appreciate your insights. We do have some time for questions. I'm not sure, Sarah, is there anything there that you'd like us to answer? Any questions coming through?
Yeah, so we've actually kind of answered most of them, but there's an interesting one here from Michael Kelly. Hi, this might be too high level a question, but is there any contact or resources to aid identification of a suitable course that I could study? So I know Emily got back there, but highlighted my career path, but it might be nice to kind of chat about my career path a little bit more if any of the panel wants to take that one.
Yeah, I can take that. That's no problem. So my career path has been in existence for the last number of years, and it's a really useful tool for people. Um, so it's available online, so you can find it through mycareerpath.ie. It's an initiative that was developed in the university to help people with regard to career guidance, and it provides one-to-one mentoring for those people. So if you are unsure, you might be working for a number of years, you maybe an operator and you see a role in quality, for example, that you might be interested in, but you're not sure how to get there, or if you'd really like it, you don't know enough about it. You can contact My Career Path. You can arrange a one-to-one meeting with the career advisor. They'll talk you through some of your own CV, your own skills. They will give you some tools to complete, and it looks at various different things, but it'll identify maybe areas where you're strong in, or maybe areas where you need to improve, and it'll help guide you with regards to different roles and maybe what would or wouldn't suit you. And then they can talk you through the courses that will help you get to that role. So it's a really useful resource available through the university. And through mycareerpath.ie if somebody is interested in it. We also have RPL, and I know Eamon touched on it earlier, which is recognition of prior learning or prior experiential learning, where people will have learning from their workplaces, and they can use that to maybe get access into programs, or to maybe get exempt from modules on programs. And I see Joanne has her hand up too, so she might want to add to some of those things.
Yeah, I think you've identified some really important services there, Jean. And also just to highlight that the online student advisor will also be able to answer your
Mm.
queries. So if you contact admissions and you're just, again, looking, you know, kind of the area you want to work in, you have an idea about the course, but they'll be really well placed to advise you around the progression paths through Eamon mentioned some of them earlier, and to make sure you're kind of on the right course for the career that you want.
Lovely. Thanks, Joanne. Is there anything else there you'd like us to answer?
Yeah, there's actually a few questions as well
Okay.
regarding timings as well for applications, and when will I find out that I've been accepted, or when does registration take place as well. So it might be just good to give an overview maybe of the application process, like a high level overview, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I suppose I can speak mostly to ATU Saga. I'm based on that campus, but we like to get a very quick turnaround for applications. We've mentioned Springboard, so we're very conscious that people need to find out quickly whether they're being offered a place in Springboard. So it's usually within a week to 2 weeks now. We have online student advisors assisting us, but some programs maybe it's the course coordinator, and we have to be considerate to the fact that they may be away for a week or 2 weeks on holidays. But we try and have that through as quickly as possible, within a week or 2 weeks. And registration then will happen from kind of mid-August time on. So we close for applications the 16th of August, but we may have programs that will close in advance of that, as I mentioned, Springboard and HCI funding. So where we have funding for a specific number of places, it may not be possible to remain open for until the 16th of August, because there may not just be places available then. And I
Brilliant.
think the 16th of August is the closing date across the university as well, for Donegal, Galway, Mayo as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, it's the ATU-wide closing
Mhm.
date for applications is 16th of August.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, then the first day of semester one is the 16th of September, and the week before that is that generic online induction. So just to give people a heads up on that as well.
Brilliant. We've one more question just we
Mhm.
might highlight. It's just in regards to fees and further information on fees, and then especially the non-EU fees for international students. Where can people find out a little bit more information on that?
Well, we have a fees guide on the website, and the fees are listed per program. And the programs where there are non-EU fees, which is the minority, it's like the medtech program that we deliver with the University of Galway, are included on that. So the majority of our programs don't have EU and non-EU fees. So all the fees information is specific to the program, because as you can understand, each program will have different fees depending on the number of credits, depending on the level that's being delivered, are all available on the program web pages. When people are registering for a program currently, they in ATU Sligo, they pay a deposit of €250, which is taken off their program fee, and they can pay the remainder of the fees in instalments over the duration of the year. And you can also claim tax back on your fees as well. for those within Ireland, I should say, not the non-EU ones.
Brilliant, Jean. I think the team now have everything else covered in the Q&A section. I did post in details there for our admission team and what email is relevant to each campus as well. So if people have any specific questions, then they can email our admissions team. But that's it, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, and thanks for everybody for coming online. I'd like to thank in particular Eamon, Joanne and Chris for being such good panelists this afternoon, and for all of the talks that they gave, which were really informative, and we, got a lot of very useful information, and it's great to get a student's perspective as well, Chris. So thank you so much for that. If anyone online would like to watch this webinar back, as I said earlier, it's going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and it's going to be available on social media channels from tomorrow. So if you're interested in doing a online flexible blended program